so now we're on like the money side of things. So like basically, what is money?
Oh wow, you want to jump straight into that?
And now for something completely different.
Except it's
Yes.
not different. It's the same thing.
Is it really though? Is it?
Man, that's like the segue so far. That's like the segue. Man, that was smooth, Ben.
So this is our main topic. What is money?
Yes.
We're
100%.
going to figure out the answer to this most difficult question, are we?
Well, like I said, I'm only part of the way through the Bitcoin standard. I have yet to read the fiat standard. So you guys might have to carry the weight on this one.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's figured it out yet. We might solve what is money now. We might have to get Cephadine on
That
here
is true.
to explain to him what money is.
Oh, Owen, drop your mic.
Drop my mic?
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop. No, this was an expensive mic. I'm not going to drop this mic. Yeah. So what are some aspects of money? What are some not features? What's the word I'm looking for?
Properties.
Properties. There we go.
Yeah. I think most people really only consider money, well, they get money for their work, they have a wage, they spend money at stores, and they don't even give it a second thought. So to them, it's just a medium of exchange, and they don't even consider why it works that way or anything about it. It just does, and they're fine with that. But I think for wise money management and investing, you really ought to understand the principles behind the way finances work. So we're going to dive into that. So the medium of exchange is really the kind of the principal functionality we need from money.
Yeah, well, I think there's two parts to that functionality. One is, the medium of exchange. And I think the part that even is more forgotten is the ledger of accounts.
Okay. Yeah,
Right,
you
so
want your
from
money
that-
to be a unit of account, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It needs
it's
to
an
be a unit
accounting
of
tool.
account.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think both of those parts are pretty. I mean, those are both functionalities of it. I guess you should say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the third functionality, of course, is store of value. You want to be able to save it up, and you pull it out 10 years later, and you still have that value. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that's what you want
Hopefully.
from money.
Good money.
Yes.
Good money should do that.
We've got funny money, so we
Yeah.
definitely can't rely on that.
Yeah, I've decided that I'm going to start collecting Canadian Tire money because it probably is going to hold its value better.
Until you run it through the washing machine.
Great.
No, that's the benefit of being in Canada. Our cash is plastic.
Yeah, money laundering is simplified that way.
Oh, brother.
Spin that cycle. My word.
How was our portion? How was the part of our show called Crazy Crypto Corner more serious than the main topic?
So historically,
yes.
what happened or before we had our dollars? Who knows anything about that? Gold. Yeah.
Yeah, we had gold, and then you had, because of some of the limitations with gold, saleability over time and space, mostly over space. They had paper notes that were backed by the gold, so they had different layers of money that could then make it a little bit more user friendly. Which, in theory, is what our fiat is. What at one time was backed on. That's the basis for that from that historical precedent.
Okay, so it's really rooted in advancing financial tech past lugging gold bars around.
Right. Exactly.
That's, I think, the root of our current banking. So there's definitely a market need there, since Nobody wants to lug around loads of gold. It has the security issues. It's super heavy. So, banknotes were a pretty natural advancement, I think. But it did lead us to where we are today, and that's with a money that is better in some ways, but also inferior as a store of value to what we had historically.
Yeah, it's funny. I just thought of a question, but I'll save it because I think we're gonna talk about it a little bit later, probably. Kind of a what if.
I like what if questions.
Yes. Well, this is yeah. It'd be interesting to see your answers. Hear your answers.
But like when talking about money, we kind of touched on it: saleability over time and space, and holding value. Other essential properties of money. What are we looking at there?
What do you mean?
I guess I'm thinking to kind of the presentation that we do, right? Like I guess you guys kind of handle the heaviness of sort of the philosophy and the factoids behind what money is, but I feel like we've touched on two of the three that you guys usually hit on.
Oh, on the saleability, you mean?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
that's
we
the word I was
usually
looking
use
for.
the saleability breakdown because
Right.
that seems super simple. It's the three elements of saleability. There are different ways to phrase the properties of money, but saleability one goes as you need money to have is it saleability over scales, saleability over space, and saleability over time. Is that correct?
Yep.
Sounds right
Yep.
to me. Yeah.
Basically, over scales, you need it to, well, you got to be able to either weigh it out or like have it minted in easily recognizable weight increments or something like that. Digitally, this is something where we can do something that's way better than physical goods. Because, I mean, in a computer, 10 is a 10, 0.1 is 0.1. It's not difficult to recognize how much it is. You can't have a light gold coin because somebody clipped it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very easy to verify that it is in fact genuine.
So does that mean gold is money then? Or because of the clipping, can we not?
Well, really, it comes down to a market competition and what is used as money. I mean, there are a lot of things that could be used as money that have been used as money, but the things that people will use as money, people will gravitate around the one that is strongest relative to the other ones. So to the competition. So just because gold was the dominant one doesn't mean that it's like the best thing that ever was. It's
Right.
definitely something, a money system that could be improved upon. So I know a lot of people
Yeah,
see the problems with our.
it might have been the best thing that was, but that doesn't mean it's the best
Mm.
thing now.
Yeah, and people see the problems with our current financial system. They see the issues with inflation and so on, and they say, well, we should go back to gold.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's like gold
that's
doesn't
what.
work in our digital economy.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to ask. Like, if gold is the better option, at least from what we're seeing, with like the stocks are going down, the crypto is going down, everything's going down except for the price of gas. That's going way up. But so why aren't we gravitating back to gold then? Right? Like, so or I guess why are we so focused on the dollar? Is that because it was, like you said, Owen, essentially it was backed before, like the dollar was backed by gold?
Well, I think
Maybe
I think why
that's a
we're
confusing question, but
well, I think no, I don't think that. So why are people not going back to gold? Well, I think the reason people aren't going back to gold is simply because nobody accepts gold anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So you, in many ways, if it's no longer considered to be money, and gold not isn't really considered to be money anymore, in the same term as as a medium of exchange.
Mhm.
If I walk into a store and say, "Here's my 1 ounce of gold. I want to buy, that couch," they are just going to laugh at you and go, "Yeah, no, I don't think so." But um, which brings up one of the other issues with gold, which is its the ability to verify it that it's genuine isn't
Right.
easily done. So that's why people aren't going back to it. Why governments wouldn't go back to it. Well, first of all, it takes away their cash pony in fiat to go
Right.
back to some sort of a solid gold standard. So there's already no incentive for them to do it in that way. And to go back to that gold standard, I think would crash the economy. To do it suddenly, of course, any change like that would.
Right.
That's why they didn't do it after World War One. Right? They went off the gold standard during World War One to finance the war, and then didn't want to go back to it because of the financial hardship it would cause the country.
Yeah. So while people don't want to accept gold, they definitely look at you funny if you offered it to them. So gold is not better than dollars, or it's not viewed as better than dollars for the purpose of medium of exchange. Gold is definitely still a better store of value. I mean, where have all these thousands of tons of gold gone? The bankers still hold them. So
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
while they may not be money for us, it seems like it's money for them.
To what end though? Like that's where my brain's like, oh man, wonder why.
So all that gold, it is still the most significant store of wealth on the planet. If you don't look at all the other things like real estate and so on. But as far as movable assets that are the primary store of value, it definitely seems like the bankers think it's gold.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
So would they be buying the gold because they see the surge in looking at Bitcoin as that replacement of store value or a utilization? Like, could Bitcoin become money? I guess is what that question would be.
That's an interesting one, because that would definitely be a shift for the banks to look at something other than gold as the real store of value. And it'd be interesting to see what that might do to Bitcoin. But definitely, they're not going to sell all their gold. But people in that position are definitely well versed in the art of hedging. So
True.
they definitely may creep into something like Bitcoin to test the waters and try to figure it out. I definitely don't believe the people who are at the top of the financial system got there by accident. So
True. Yeah, exactly.
They're not the politicians. They're a couple tiers above, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I think you also have to remember that something like Bitcoin is 12 years old. Gold's been historically the place you went in hard times to hold your wealth. When economies got rocky and that, and so if you think about the average age of the bankers, and especially central bankers and things like that, they're on the second half of their career, or the second half of that time span. So they're going to go with what they know, and what they know right now is gold, because
Right.
that's been the thing for historically.
Yeah, it has the track record.
Forever.
So you
That's
can't
right.
really ignore that. But then we also are in the digital age, and we're in the age of engineering solutions to things that, I mean, we couldn't have really conceptualized earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at how far computers have come. So we're really just cracking into the very early beginnings of what we can actually do with computer technology. And a lot of that isn't great, but I think it's coming regardless of whether or not people want it. So I think it's up to people who have a strong moral foundation to be involved in developing technology, guiding it forward.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's part of the reason why I like the decentralization of Bitcoin, right? Like, it's not just one bad egg that spoils the whole bushel, to conflate two different analogies.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it definitely, there's a lot of safeguards and counterbalance and checks and balances in the Bitcoin design that are not present in a centralized design necessarily.
but there's a lot of like essential money principles or properties that Bitcoin has. Correct. Like, that, I guess that is probably why I asked the previous question about why they aren't getting into Bitcoin, or why wouldn't they? Right. Like, if they're looking for.
Well, I think they are getting into Bitcoin, but I don't think they see it. I think they see it as a money go up, item, not necessarily a store of wealth item yet.
That's very true. I had a conversation similar to that yesterday with a fella. I was like, I kind of laid the little bit of a bait for, shake pay, and do you want to start earning sats every day and stuff like that, and he said, well, that's not really why I want to get into Bitcoin, and it was because he wants to make a profit off it. He wants to buy low, sell high, and keep doing that.
That's right. Yeah, they see it as a stock, a tech stock, or some sort of tradable stock.
It's going to be really interesting when that view gets switched and the light bulb gets turned on.
So what is it about Bitcoin that really makes it money?
Well, it's the saleability, the three properties that we talked about, right?
Yeah, relative in the context of a modern era with a global economy and all of that, it ticks all the boxes, whereas gold fails on a couple boxes in the modern era.
Yeah. So would you say, even in the category of like store of value, saleability over time, is Bitcoin really better than gold?
I don't know. It's going down right now.
Yeah, I think it is, because I guess the reason I say that is, if you look at gold over time, yeah, it has continued to go up, but gold does have an unlimited inflationary aspect. And while it has a very low inflation rate, there's nothing that we know of that is going to stop that inflation rate in perpetuity.
Climate change is just going to melt it all. It's going to sink right to the core.
So I think that's
short
one.
Term,
that's one aspect. But go ahead.
Short term, people could definitely say, well, Bitcoin doesn't seem to be a very good store of value. I mean, look at the volatility. Look at how many times it crashed. I mean, that's something
crashed.
Those dreaded
I call it
quotes.
A sale.
Yes, exactly. I see red, I see sale.
So
yeah, I think
kind of a calculation, isn't it?
Well, I think
we look at the fundamentals of it, and we say, over a longer period of time, it is a really good store of value.
Gold, you mean?
Bitcoin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
By its principles, it is. I think
exactly. Yeah.
We need a track record. It's going to take time in order to show that continues to be the case. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things you hear a lot is just that. Oh, well, it's only been around 12 years. You don't know what's going to happen. Sure, it keeps going up, but it's just a bubble.
Yeah, except that it's knocked out every competitor that's tried to beat it. Its longevity is proving itself in 12 years only.
Yep. And I think you can look at it from a principled perspective to say, well, it does meet all these boxes. If it was just a bubble, there would be things that could crash it. But because it meets all of the lack of inflationary supply and all the other essential properties, and it's proving to be something people desire. The natural free market is gravitating towards it. We can see that through the adoption process.
Yeah.
That, like Dan said, that's, or maybe it was you said, that it's proving even in 12 years that it's going to be a good store of value.
Mm-hmm. I think what's weird about all this is we have no experience with early adoption phase of an item as money. It's like, and
Yeah,
our
that's
parents
true.
wouldn't have had that experience. Our grandparents wouldn't. Our great grandparents, like in the past generations, we've had
We're
kind of
also-
a slide into, gold standard into fiat standard, but that was all done fairly seamlessly on the surface, and everything was very
And kind of underhanded at the
kind
time,
of
right? Like,
underhanded. Exactly. There's been no hey, there's this new thing that's a better money.
yeah. None of us being financial advisors. None of this is financial advice.
That's true. Yes.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, and I think we probably see it. I mean, we look at back in history, of course, over the 20th century, and say, "Oh well, goodness, there's a mosquito in here."
And cut.
And we go, "Oh, look at how that happened," and we can look over 50 years of history and see the transition from a gold standard to a purely fiat standard. We're living that right now. We're in that with, I think, the Bitcoin standard, but we're going to have a parallel system for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe quite a while. Maybe a very long. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be totally okay with multiple forms of money being accepted simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? No need to force people into a money system, and let's it's maybe not the one they'd choose if you left them a choice. So think about that. So I would like to see people have a choice and just gravitate naturally towards what's developing as something that works better.
Yeah.
I mean, we could gain a ton of economic efficiencies just by letting people use what works better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only reason that fiat is money is because, by the very definition of fiat, the government decreed it to be money.
Right.
By doing so, they said, "Thou shalt use this form of exchange and, accounting."
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reason that's there. So, and maybe it was the best system for a while that we, had, but it certainly has allowed that transition to a digital age somewhat. That gold never would have if we'd stuck strictly with gold. But there's nothing to say we can't have a digital fiat standard that was based on gold either. If there hadn't been that decoupling from a gold backing.
Yeah, that's actually a wild thought to think of. Like our digital system could have been, digital ounces, 10th ounce or 10,000 ounces of gold instead of dollars. Yeah, it could have been the way it developed. But definitely the temptation by central authorities to untether dollars from gold and, just be able to create more money, create more wealth for themselves. It's just too much temptation. And that was the fatal flaw of the system. You can't put that much trust in a few humans or even many humans.
Yeah, there's going to be wins and losses, one way or the other.
Yeah, that's right.
You win some, you lose some.
The next segment. Who knew?
So are we done with money, or anything else you want to say on what is money? Have we covered enough of the concepts?
Oh man, I feel like there's always questions and things, especially in talking to you guys, looking into what makes Bitcoin sound money, like the properties of that, even just the philosophy and the properties of sound money, like the interview with Safedine Amos and Jordan Peterson. That was fascinating.
Mm.
So fascinating.
Yep, definitely recommend. Yeah, I'd say that we touched on some really interesting stuff, and I'd actually love to hear some listener feedback and questions on that. Like, what do you guys want to hear more about? So you can email us at changingnormal@protonmail.com,
Yeah.
and we'd love to take some questions. But
Yeah, we
Hit us
could
up.
break down aspects of that whole topic into smaller
absolutely.
bits.
Yeah.
Yep, there's
More
so
than
many
much
fascinating bits, even like diving into the difference between a money backed by commodity and gold and our dollars, which are a money that's actually a liability backing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Leave
whole
a
fascinating side trail there.
oh yeah.
Our
Questions or
dollars are a
comments.
liability.
We welcome them all. We welcome them all. Yeah, exactly. Comment on YouTube, Odysee, email, like Dan said.